Most of the projects you work on, it will at least have a project title at the beginning and rolling credits at the end. Now let's see how iMovie titles work. To access the titles content library, you go to the media browser and click on titles, and then you will find 48 different titles available for you to choose from. And you can skim through the title just like you skim through the transitions, and then you can find the one you like. There are multiple ways to add a title. For example, if this is the title we like and we want to put it at the beginning as the project title, we can drag it on top of a clip. That's the first way to do it. And now you see that when I skim through, the title is overlapping with the clips. And I can adjust the length of the title, make it shorter or make it longer. Just make sure you give your audience enough time to read your title. Okay, so that's one way to place a title. Another way to place a title is you can think of it as independent clip. So if I drag my title in front of the first clip, and now it becomes an independent clip, it's not attached to anything. And iMovie will automatically give it a black background for your title. So the effect looks like this. And if you don't like the black background, what you can do is you can choose a different background by accessing the backgrounds content library and find the background you like, and then place your title on top of the background. For example, because this is a story about shark dive, I really like this underground background. So I will drag it to my timeline just like I drag a normal clip to my timeline, and then drag my titles on top of my clip and extend it a little bit. Okay, now when I skim through it, you can see that my title has placed on top of a background. That looks really cool, right? So that's all the different ways you can add a title. Here I just want to point out that inside the backgrounds content library, you also find some maps that you can incorporate in your project. For example, if we want to tell the audience that this person travels from, for example, Charlottesville to San Francisco to do this shark dive, then we can incorporate a map, something like this, and then give it a destination to indicate she travels from Charlottesville to San Francisco. We can double click on the map and then change the start and end location. So for example, I can type in Charlottesville and then, okay, find Charlottesville, and then type in San Francisco. Okay, I got it. And the first one. Okay, now let's take a look at the effect. Basically, it draws a line from Charlottesville to San Francisco. It's kind of cool. And you can also, when I double click it, you can also choose a different style that you like. But this is not something I want to incorporate in my project, so I will delete it. Going back to the titles, once I have a title, I can double click it. And now you see there's another toolbox for just adjusting the titles. I can first of all change it to something else. Since this is a shark dive story, I will just give it name shark dive. Okay, and when you double click again, you can change the font to whatever you like. Maybe this one, and you can change the size, make it smaller or make it bigger. You can adjust the alignment. You can also bold, italic, or give it a border, and then you can choose a different color for the border. So that's all the things you can do with the text. However, there are certain limits with iMovie titles. For example, you can't move the title to anywhere you want. For example, I can't really move this title to the upper right or lower left if that's what I want. So all you can do is choose the template that will work for you. That's why iMovie give you tons of templates to choose from. If you do want to change the position of your text, then you have to go to Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere Pro to do that. Okay, so that's adding a project title, and usually at the end we will add a credits line to give proper credits. And here you will find the scrolling credits that you can easily use in your project. So I will drag it to the end, and I will make it overlap with the clip and maybe make it shorter to the end. Okay, so you see that's how the rolling credits look like. And double click, you can change it to whatever you want. Alright, that's how you can add a title to your project.